How's it going, YouTube? Here's the video I was talking about making for the copy trader, the Tradovate group trade feature, and then also I've got some live silver bullet video for those that are kind of curious about how that works. I actually traded 2 silver bullets yesterday. I won one and I lost one, but I'm going to show the video for the one that I lost because I think it's a lot better for educational purposes, and you can see the lessons I learned. Basically, the takeaway was you can do 95% of it right. You can manage it. You can set it up. You can wait. You can be patient. You can enter, but you've got to follow through. I dropped the ball in the last few seconds of the trade, and I made one decision based on my profit target that it was staring me in the face what I should have done, and I just wasn't paying attention. So that's towards the end. It takes a little while to get to the actual setup, but I'm going to leave the whole thing in there. I've got it sped up a little bit, or I'll fast forward through some of the boring stuff. I didn't do it with any audio, but I annotated as I was doing it. And for those that are curious kind of how to work the trade while it's happening, I think this will be beneficial. I've seen some videos, I've learned from others, and it's helpful to see them sort of talk about it, but when you can see it and see the changes being made real time, and what the thinking is and what I'm looking at, and where I'm moving my market structure shift idea, where I think it has to break before I'll consider a trade, things like that. And that's all pretty much in the annotation, but I'll voice it over a little bit too. So all right, I've got my Tradovate account up here, and basically what happens is your available accounts will be up here, and you do manage groups. And say this was fresh and I didn't have any groups set up, all my available accounts would be over here. And then what you do is you drag them over, you create a name. So I've got 7 just general 50K accounts that I'm using. And this is going to be my bread and butter, and I might add to it eventually, but I wanted to just start with 7 for whatever reason. I don't know, lucky number I guess. But once I get these in profit, then you really only need like $100 in a day, and it made $700. So it takes a little longer to hit your profit target, but once you do, your minimum withdrawal is $500. So once I get $500 in one account, I've got $500 in all 7. So my withdrawal would be $3,500 when I'm ready to withdraw. Or if I wait till I got 1,000 in one account, then I've got 7,000 to withdraw. So it's really a neat feature. It's fitting my style perfectly. So if this is something you think is beneficial for you, then check this video out, and hopefully it'll help you learn how to do it. So anyway, I've created 2 groups. I've got my normal Apex 50s, and then I created a group with just 2 YOLO accounts. Okay, 2 other 50K accounts. And my thinking is that, and this worked out great yesterday, I was trading, I was doing a lot of scalping, I was waiting for DR confirmation, and I saw an opportunity to take a shot, but I didn't want to risk my 7 accounts that I'm trying to get funded and slowly, base hits, all that. So I went over here and I, loaded up this account. So, if I blow these, it's only $40, with the 8% off sale, and $40 a month per account. So this account, if I just manage it and don't blow it, it costs me $80 for the 2 of them, and I've got it grouped. If I have to reset it, I wait for a half price sale or whatever, or buy 2 more at 80% off, and it's basically $80. But what that allowed me to do was to kind of scratch that itch. I was able to get in on a trade, and it worked out great. I made over $1,000 on each account, at the end of the London session last night. So my YOLO account turned out to be my, my money account yesterday, but it's not always going to be like that. This is higher risk. And I also have the cash account, so I can have a few different ways to approach the market depending on what's going on. So anyway, that's pretty much it. There's not a lot to it. Then when you go back out, you pick which group you want to have running. So right now I've got the YOLO up here, and then I double check to make sure that this account is one of the accounts from that group. So 24 and 25 are the YOLO, and these are the 50Ks. You want to see that up here, because if you go up in here and try to exit all positions and cancel, actually, you don't even want to do that, because all it'll do is cancel this account. It won't do anything for the other 7. So if you're trying to do something across all 7 accounts, you want to use this one right here. This one kills everything. But still, you want to be able to see like your, see your P&L. I've got it over here also. I just started using this feature from Tradovate, but before that, I was watching my P&L up here. So I don't know. For me, I like having one of the accounts represented from the group up here. So depending on which group I'm going is depending on which account I will set up here. And then you can manage the account for whatever reason that you might want to. The account up here, you can click here and manage it. Get your stats or whatever on it. But the way I'm doing it, they should all pretty much be the same. So if I look at one, I'm looking at all of them. So I don't really use this very much. I will, group and manage these with these buttons. If I want to swap, some of the accounts over to the other group, I could do that. I could pull 17 out. I could put it over here with YOLO. Then I'd go back in, open up YOLO. Go manage YOLO, and it would be over on this side, and then I could pull it over, and I would have 3 accounts over here and 6 over here. So that's pretty much it for setting it up and managing it. There's really not much to it. You can't use bracket orders or ATM orders for a group. Okay, so I really like the ATM feature for break evens, auto trail, trailing stops, things like that. It's really handy, and I use that on my cash account. But for this, it doesn't allow you to do that. It's sort of basic. If you use NinjaTrader, I think there's another or Rhythmic. There's another copy trader that is a little more robust, and it will let you do those things. But I don't really need it. What I do is if I buy something right here, if I want to set my stop loss, I'll just create a sell limit. Oops. Oh, one other thing. Okay, so let me switch back over to Apex 50s. When you go to buy, since I'm using 7 accounts, your total contracts has to be in here. So I need 7 in here. Okay. It's only going to show a 1 over here, but it's copied. So when you do anything to that 1, you're doing it to those 7, and I'll show you here in a second. So let's just say, I'm not going to do it, but let's just say I bought right here and I'm looking to go long. So I would real quickly just set a, well, I'm really struggling here. Okay, so, okay, I got to put one of the 50Ks up there. There we go. Okay, so now I've got my Apex 50 individual account represented with the group Apex 50s. All right, now when I try to buy, okay, bing, I bought. So real quick, I'll just go and I'll set my stop loss, and I'll set a profit target. And it's that easy. I mean, now I can just move them where I want them. And this, even though it says 1 right here, it's actually 1 times 7. So if this gets hit, all 7 accounts get bounced. And same with down here. If it comes down here and hits the stop loss, all 7 accounts get stopped out. So that's really simple, and it's like TradingView. I mean, you can move your stop loss, and there's really no rush, because if you think about it, when you buy, I'm looking for 5 points. So basically, if I'm doing like a silver bullet or an IDR strategy, it's usually going to be a few points. It's not like I have 5 seconds and I got to figure all that out. So I just buy, and then I go up here somewhere and I put my orders in just anywhere, and then I slide them to where I want them based on either swing highs, swing lows, fair value gaps, things like that, and you move them. Something to keep in mind is when you do this, if your profit target gets hit, since this isn't a order cancels order type bracket, this one stays open. You have to go over here and physically close it. I got burnt yesterday because I was over on a different window. I think I was on futures, Euro or whatever, and I did a buy over here and got out of it and then bounced back over here. And I had turned the volume down so I didn't hear it say order complete, but I noticed my P&L moving. I was like, what's going on? Well, price had turned around and went back here and tapped into my old stop loss that I didn't cancel. So very, very important that when you get an order and it's finished, either stopped out or target hit, you go down there and you cancel the other one. Otherwise, eventually price will meander back down there and hit it, and you may get lucky, you may not. I was only out a couple bucks, but it was still, a learning experience. So I can't think of much else about that. It's very handy though. I mean, this is like, yesterday I was just dinking and dunking trying to get like 50 bucks, 50 bucks, 100 bucks, because times 7, that's, 350 or $700. That's a day's work for me. I make good money at my job, but if I can make 700 bucks a day, I'd start thinking about quitting that job. And it doesn't take much to get a point, 2 points, and I did a lot of that last night. I was just scalping, waiting for the DR, and I just crushed it last night. And it was a good thing because, like I said, this trade that I'm going to show you was a losing trade, and I was really, really frustrated. I mean, I was within 2 ticks of my 5-point target, which would have been $1,250 overall, and instead I got stopped out for the full 5 points backwards. I moved my stop loss. I blew every aspect of the final portion of the trade. But on the positive side, I learned some lessons. I made some journal entries. There's some things I'm going to do different that'll stop that from happening again, which will make me a better trader in the future. And I was able to just go to bed. I just shut my computer off, and I was so tempted to get in there with 5 contracts and times 7 accounts and flip that baby, and get that money back. But I know how that ends. I've been down that road before, and that's how you blow your account up. That's how you make things worse. So I just went to bed and accepted that loss, and then I got up last night with a fresh mindset and absolutely crushed London. I mean, quadrupled what I lost. So that's kind of the way you have to think about it. I think, at least for me, I have to keep that in my mind, that every trade is not the end of the world. And when one goes bad or goes against you, do not go back in and try to get it back. Unless you got a plan. You're allowing yourself 2 losses. You have a certain amount or whatever. I mean, I'll lose a trade and get back in. But I knew I was frustrated. I knew I was mad. My time window had expired. There was not going to be another silver bullet. I would have had to wait for it to do something else, and I was just kind of at my wit's end. So I just shut it all off and went to bed, and everything worked out beautifully. It couldn't have worked out better. So I have a lot of confidence from that going forward, that's a good way to approach it, and that'll help me. I'll keep that in my head, and I'll write it down and probably plaster it to my monitor here, just to remind me that that's the way to do it. So if you have any other questions about the trade copier, hit me up on Twitter or YouTube, and I'll get you back. So now I'm going to start the trade video, and let me know if this is helpful or bothersome. So I keep this other window open down here because I do DR trading also. So I have that window here so people can see the 5-minute time frame and kind of what I've got my eye on while I'm waiting or whatever. But if it's in the way or a distraction, just let me know, and I'm either way with it. Sometimes I feel like it's in the way and I have to adjust this screen. But at the same time, I know there's different groups of people watching this videos, and some of you are interested in one thing and some of you are interested in something else. So we'll just kind of go from there. All right, so this is my sell side liquidity line, and here's my timeline. So basically the silver bullet, according to ICT, starts at 10 o'clock London time. So don't be confused by my time down here. For whatever reason, Tradovate doesn't allow you to change the time zone to New York. So it'll either do Central Time or local time, which I'm in Central Time. So either way, I'm stuck with that. So this is an hour behind. I need that to stop. So I had set it a little bit early because I've noticed that sometimes, and it's doing it right now, before the actual open, the sell side liquidity will get taken. And you might get the opportunity to hit the silver bullet right in the opening or just before the opening. So that's kind of my thinking about the time frames. Ideally, definitely between 10 and 11, you're really focused. But as early as 9 o'clock or so, or 8. No, I gotta think New York time. 9:30 is the open. So between 9:30 and 10, there's still opportunity to take that trade. But the ICT window starts at 10 o'clock. So fast forward a little bit. I'm going to be doing a lot of fast forwarding here. I've got some separate trading view windows open so I don't clutter up my entire window with like new week opening gaps, weekly DRCs, clusters, things like that. I try to keep my trading chart fairly clean, and then I've got some different tabs open for different time frames and then I'm looking at these levels in a different time frame. So it's a lot cleaner for me to be able to kind of get an idea of what's going on. Because if I have all of this open on the same window, it's just a big mess of color, and that doesn't help me at all. Okay, so here is my 10 o'clock line right here. Here's my kind of opening, or I think I set it for like 9:40 because of some work that another person did on Twitter that I was looking at, backtest Jess. And I'll show you what she did. I would recommend, let me pause that real quick and find a pause. Okay, so we go over to Twitter. This is Silver Bullet related, so that's why I'm going to show it to you real quick. Bookmarks. So if you can go find this girl and this tweet, there's a thread that you'll want. Okay, this is great information. She goes through, she shows her backtesting results for like a solid year of 1 minute fair value gap entries around the New York Open, kind of the Judas swing period. So she gives you all kinds of statistics, the exact minutes, the probabilities, what she used for entries, you know, different fair value gaps, breakers, turtle soups, things like that. And I mean, it's really, really a good thread for information. So she basically came up with 249 trading days. 70% of these were winning trades and went well over 21 ticks. Lots of them the average was 12 points and 2.4 R. So this is definitely something you want to try to work into your toolbox. With that high of a win rate, and you know, 5 handles minimum, and you know, if you let it run 12, more than that, that's really good. So anyway, backtest Jess is her name, and this is her tweet where she goes over all her backtesting results. All right, let's see. Am I on the video again? Back to the video. So we'll fast forward a little bit. So I'm steady moving this line down. This is my sell side liquidity. I'm trying to see where it taps into something else. So I will keep moving this line down, and then when it turns around, that's when I start looking for the silver bullet entry. But right now we're in the phase where liquidity is being taken, and at any time it can reverse, and you need to be looking for the market structure shift, the fair value gap, and the displacement. So we're right down here on an order block, a pretty high probability order block from the looks of it. These that haven't been touched in a long time and they come after a big or before a big move are usually pretty good. So I think what I did was I think I switched over to my YOLO account and I trade this order block. I think you'll see that, and that's maybe, it might be a little confusing trying to watch the video, figure out what I'm doing, but I believe I did trade that when it got down to a certain point, and I'm marking levels on this chart from this order block. So that might be other lines. This might be the top of the order block right here, I think. So from what I'm remembering, that's how it went. So we'll see if I go up here and switch to the other accounts. I'm going to try and lay off my mouse because this other mouse is moving around too. So I'll just let it go. Keep it down here where I can fast forward. That's irritating though when this thing moves. Okay, so I'm putting the annotations on there for the time and the line that I'm eventually going to put on there for the nearest swing. Okay, I did switch over to the YOLOs now. I can see right here. So I'm taking a trade. That's this one right here. So you can see my P&L on these two accounts. Just trading just that little order block rejection. So you can see it down here on the 5 minute. I hit the order block. I knew it was going to be good for a point or two. And I'm just sort of seeing, yeah, I've marked it over here, top of order block. So I move my stop loss down, a couple ticks under that low. Actually, I've got two tabs open is what it is. I've got the YOLOs on one tab and then my 50Ks on the other tab. And you can do that. You can set it up that way where you don't have to switch in the program. You can just switch tabs and go straight to trading. So you can see that got pretty close. I felt good about not moving my stop loss here. I was accepting the fact that that was going to be my loss. If I lost, it wasn't much. So for me, that's a step in the right direction. I'm literally one tick away from getting stopped out here. And a couple months ago, I'd have already been sliding it down 2 or 3 points just to make sure. But accepting, when you put it in the chart, accept that money's gone. There, now it is within one tick. Literally. Okay. But I had my spot, 2 ticks below the low. And I wasn't going to move it. So now we get the payoff. And these aren't big, I don't think these are real big trades. I'm just scalping while I'm kind of waiting for the silver bullet. And, this could be the beginning of the silver bullet, as a matter of fact. There's nothing, you're looking for reasons to reverse, which that order block would be a reason to reverse. But I don't think it does that. I think we get some consolidation first, and it taps those lows a couple more times. So I'm probably getting out here pretty soon. I think as soon as it starts dropping, I get out. We'll see. Yeah, I'm about to get out. I want to see the end of this trade, and then I think I'm debating in here. I move up to break even. But I get antsy, and I don't let it come all the way back down. There's a lot of times if I just left the trade alone, I'd triple my money, but that's something else I have to work on. So it was at 340, I think, is as high as I've seen it. Come on. All right, let's move on. So yeah, see, I should have took the 340. It dropped all the way down to 138 before I finally got out. So that's why I'm not a big fan of it. Now you can see it continually drops. So this was should have been my target. When I see $300 on there, and I've got 2 accounts, and I know that $600, that's a day's pay. I need to just take it. It's a different mentality using the multiple accounts. You don't need as much, and by waiting, all I did was cost myself like $400 right there. All right, so now I'm marking my spot for the nearest swing. This is basically what I'm saying. I want to see displacement above this area for the silver bullet to be considered active. So we'll just skip ahead forward a little bit now. I'll let you see some of the annotations. Continually waiting for sell side. Every time I move it down, I'm waiting for that to be taken and then looking for the new swing. Okay, so I put this on here. I feel strongly about when there's sell side from other locations over here, and there was at one point. I like to wait for that to get taken, because in the back of my mind I'm thinking there's so many fakes and inducements. If you can have a lot more confidence if you know that sell side has been taken out. It's going to get taken out. When it's down here this close, it's going to get taken out. You can almost bet on it. 90% of the time it dinks and dunks around, and then it goes down there and takes it out, and then it comes to the top. All that movement in between is just to get people's money, get them in on the wrong side of the market. So here we had an impulse move, a nice jump, took out a swing, but there was no fair value gap. So it immediately turned around, came back down. So that's not the silver bullet. And that's kind of what I had put right here. It's still, trying to figure out when the reversal has happened is, we're all wanting to try to get better at that, I'm sure, because that's where you can really, maximize your profits. Plan on a lot of these moves back up. This is all fake. This is all get in thinking it's going long, but there was no fair value gap created. There was no inclination of the market to show its hand, so there's no reason to get in yet. And as you'll see, it comes all the way back down, and it's going to make a new low. Here it comes back down again, makes a new low, and then I put this here. Lows often get popped a couple times before the reversal, waiting. So you can see over here we're at a long time new low. This is week, 10 days, and it hasn't been this low. So usually when you see this, the reversal doesn't just happen on a 1 minute chart. It might look like it on a 5 or a 10 minute chart, or a higher time frame, but on the minute chart you can count on it making several stops, several moves up. It's gonna try to squeeze every ounce of buy side, sell side liquidity out of the retail traders that it can. So it keeps on coming down, dipping below, creating a new low, moving up, getting people thinking that's the reversal, turning back around, coming back down, stopping them out. That's the pattern you have to be thinking in your head. That's what you're kind of looking for, so that way you don't jump the gun. And the more you do it, the more confidence you get by seeing it play out that way over and over and over. I've been on the wrong side of this a few times, more than I want to admit. So, and I've gotten burned. So now I know, now I'm used to it, and I just wait. So here's my new swing. I need to see an impulse candle break that swing, or multiple candles in a leg break that swing and create a fair value gap. That's the whole idea behind the silver bullet. And we still got a ways to go. It actually comes down here and makes 2 double bottoms, so we're not even to the first double bottom yet. There was a kind of a weak fair value gap right here, but that didn't really count as inducement or displacement, and I felt like this was a solid kind of a double bottom. I just figured price was going to still come back down here again, because it only tapped once below this, and like I said, I'm expecting it to do that 2 or 3 times now. That's not saying that happens every time, but more times than not, if you're at one of these long time lows or highs, it's gonna tap above it, and sometimes it's only a tick, and sometimes it'll stop just a tick short even. It'll come back down 3 or 4 points, and then it'll go back up and blast through it. So you have to keep in mind, this isn't random. This is highly, I don't want to say it's all manipulated, but it's controlled. Whether it's the algorithm or people involved looking at it, I don't know, but you can just tell by the way it plays with our emotions. Okay, so anyway, there was a small fair value gap here. I had marked it. I didn't want that to be the one that eventually takes off and became the silver bullet. So I was glad when it took out and there was another bottom, because I don't like missing the trade. So no new text. This is all, like I say, just sideways consolidation. This is also, it's accumulation now. So, you know, you get the inducement when it drops down and makes you think it's going one way, or pops up to try to manipulate people into the market. And now also we're accumulating buy stops, sell stops on both sides of the market. So when it does move, it's going to move strong, and that's the move we're waiting for. That's the whole idea behind the silver bullet, that liquidity is taken and it creates, you know, a substantial move, and we get in on that move with the institutions. Okay, so still moving my swing. Okay, so here I said a double bottom wouldn't surprise me. And I actually get it, so. About around 950 or so, for those that, you know, follow that aspect of the trading, the macro stuff. 950, 1010, and 1020 is sometimes when we see impulse moves, or, you know, strong moves, reversals, things like that. So that's just another confluence, I guess. Here I'm explaining that there's a little bit of lethargy. It's kind of lethargic, just sort of consolidating sideways. And I didn't know if that maybe had anything to do with the some of the news that was coming out later in the day, which really didn't end up having an effect. But I was just surprised to see it kind of go sideways like this after this big move. So the red line is my end of window, but I know it's coming. And so I will wait it out. We're at that point where we're down here, you know, new lows, and I didn't have anything else to do. I might have cut it short if it was sort of in the middle of the range or something, but we're right there on the cusp of this move up, and I'm, you know, been waiting for it this long, and I wanted to get a video of the silver bullet just to kind of help people out, those that have been asking about it. And this is the kind of video that I would have wanted to see myself as a person learning it. Like I said, the ones I've been watching are just people kind of telling you to block out an hour and look for a displacement and a fair value gap. But there's more to it than that. I mean, just, you know, the patience factor and kind of knowing where to move your, continually moving this stuff and looking for new opportunities. And then especially when I take the trade, you're really going to learn a lot from my mistakes here. So make sure you watch till the end. So again, new low created, right? So back here, I'm thinking at least a couple more lows are going to get hit. So when it moves up, I have no desire to get in. When it comes back down, my confidence is increased, because I'm like, yep, that's what I was waiting on. Takes off up again. I'm like, no, probably not. Only one time. Now let's see. I bet it comes down again. And it does. So, you know, when you can, I guess, when you're watching this stuff enough, that's why the screen time is so important. You build that confidence, and you kind of feel like you're able to, you know, call it. It's sort of like seeing the Matrix. That's the way I frame it. And not that I am. I've got so much more to learn. It's not even funny. But these are like steps that are meaningful to me as someone that hasn't been doing this even a year yet. Okay, so nothing's really changed. Still just waiting. We get our second double bottom here. You'll know the trade's coming when I get rid of all the text. Okay, so here's a possible opportunity right here. We're about to cross that swing high. But we need it to be a candle with some movement, or a series of candles. It can't just, you know, pop across and come back down like I think it's going to do here. Yeah, this isn't displacement. This is just regular manipulation and part of this whole consolidation thing here. So now, you know, a new swing high gets created. You move your line. And here I was comparing yesterday's New York to today's New York, as far as the, you know, here you had these big powerful moves, and over here you've got this sideways stuff, and that's why I was thinking maybe the news was playing a factor, but it didn't really appear to. Yeah, that's what my screen looks like if I put it all on one screen. So that's the DRC clusters, the weekly and the session. Usually I try to filter that out a little bit. There we go. I took it down to just the weekly. Alright, so now I've marked the IDR middle just as a point of reference for a possible reversal when it does move up. I'm taking that into consideration for my target. ICT says, you know, you want to have 10 handles of room to try to play for 5. So we're in the 23-24 range. Here's my middle here, so it'll be kind of close. And you know, it's not guaranteed to reverse there, but I want to have it on the chart so that if it does start to act funny, I'll know what's going on. Okay, and what I had just wrote down was there's this liquidity here. So if I'm looking for that 10 points, obviously I can get the 10 points up here, but there's not a lot here to hang your hat on as far as a target. So, you know, I've got the middle line. Since it's did so much work under the middle line, I'm kind of thinking that eventually this session confirms short. So I'm not looking for a whole big upside move, but that's just, like I said, kind of what I'm thinking about, what's on my mind. If it blows through the IDR middle, then obviously I'll keep the trade open. But if it gets there and it starts hesitating, rejecting off this line, if I'm in profit, I'm probably going to take what I got. If I'm, you know, depending on where I get in, hopefully I don't just start the trade that high, but we'll see. All right, so we're getting pretty close here. Okay, here's your impulse move, breaks the swing high. Now we look for a fair value gap. Okay, so I know I'm about to get in the trade. I get rid of all the lipstick on the chart. I know this is it. Okay, this is money time. And right here's where I make my first mistake. I'm going to show you. I'm going to pause it when it gets to this exact issue. I'm debating doing a market order or setting a limit down there. And going forward, I'll be using limit orders, most likely. Or I'll time the market order better.
Order fill.
Okay, so I just filled the order, right? I filled the order up here. That's about a point. Almost a point from here. That cost me the trade. That mistake right there cost me the trade. I had a 5-point target from my entry. If my entry would have been down here where it was supposed to be, I would have hit my 5 points. But because I took it way up here, I ended up being 2 ticks short of hitting the target when it reversed and stopped me out for a 5-point loss. So when I went back and analyzed everything, you know, that was one of my takeaways, and it did come back. A real silver bullet trade will almost always come back. And for me, going forward, I think my thinking is going to be, if it doesn't come back, I'm just going to miss the trade. I really want to follow the rules. If you miss a trade, you didn't lose nothing, right? I mean, you really didn't. There'll be another one tomorrow. There'll be 5 more next week. So I've got to follow these rules. And it's things like this. This cost me not only the $12.50 I would have won, but the $12.50 I lost, spread across those accounts. It might have been more than that. 250 times 7. Yeah, it's more than that. Anyway, so we'll play it on, and you'll see it it does come back down. But here's my fill, as opposed to waiting another few seconds for the next candle like you're supposed to. So now I'm setting my stop loss and my target. Or I set my target anyway. I don't think I've set the stop loss. I'm getting ready to. There we go. Now I'm going to go back just a little bit. You can see when I go to place that order, whoa. Well, anyway, on the actual order it said 7, but over here on the side it says 1. So it's doing this, but over here you only see 1. But if I move this, it's basically moving all 7. So that's for the trade copier. Alright, so look at the difference. Here comes the second candle. My limit order would have got tapped right there. Now I'd be in the trade at 29 instead of 30.25. So I lost a point and a quarter. And I never get my 5-point target, and you'll see. It makes a big push. It throws a stop hunt up there with a wick, big wick, then it comes back down, and it never goes back up. And I should have known that when I saw that wick. I should have just took the money. And next time I will, because more often than not, when you see that real fast push up and then a fast drop down, that's the market trying to make a change, a reversal, and not giving people time to really react. Because if you think about it, when you see that big push up and then that huge drop down, what goes through your mind? It's too late. I missed the move. It's already down a couple points. It's real hard to jump in on it, after it's done that, because you don't know if it's going to reverse again. So I think there's a psychological component to that. But I also noticed that that's a signature of a reversal, is that big push up and then the real quick move down that leaves a wick, either up or down. All right, so it's playing out. This is the perfect silver bullet. There it went. It shot way up there real fast, and I'm thinking, oh man, any second there it's gonna push up. So I go to break even, right? I did the right thing. So here's something about the silver bullet. It's like a 1-hour trade. If you are after 5 points, you got to come down here and put your stop loss under a swing low, which can be 4 or 5 points, or more. But I'm not going to go more than 5. But anyway, this isn't a good stop loss for the silver bullet, because very often it will come back down and it'll even eat that fair value gap up before it turns back around. But if you see the fair value gap, you can be pretty certain it's going to turn back around before it gets to the next swing. It might eat up the fair value gap, but if you're below the swing low below it, you're okay. So there I moved my stop down to the swing low. And now I'm still trying to win this trade. It's over. I should have known when I saw this, it's over. It popped above the IDR line, and now I'm just guessing now. Now I'm frustrated. I was within 2 ticks of ending the trade, way up for the day, and it comes back all the way against me. And I end up giving it the full 5 points to play with. I'm debating getting out, but at the same time I'm thinking, I've got this, I've got this in my mind. Look at this. It could go all the way back up here. You never know. So I'm trying to give it every opportunity. So I went from being wherever I was to now I'm $50, $60 down on this trade. Bam. Okay. So right there, my stomach turned, and I was just like, you got to be freaking kidding me. I went from being so close to a complete fail, and it started with not waiting for this to come back into the fair value gap. That was probably the biggest thing. And then also I noticed, and I don't have it on my little window here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. No, I guess not. So on one of the other charts I was looking at, where it tapped out at was in one of these defined DRC clusters, to the very tick, right to the top of it. So that lined up perfectly, but I wasn't paying attention to that. I was zeroed in on what was going on over here, not looking at my higher time frame stuff. So 2 or 3 different things I could have done differently there, that I'll definitely, learn from and move forward on. It just made me a better trader. That's part of the process. So you just have to live through that and suck it up. Like I said, I went to bed after this. Huge loss for me, huge disappointing loss. But came back that night with a fresh head, not sweating it, not, wasn't even on my mind really. I'd slept, I'd eaten, everything was good, and I had a wonderful night. So if you have a bad night or have a bad trade, bad day or whatever, you just gotta shake it off. Just shake it off and get it out of your mind, and think you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. Just try to have more good days than bad days. So I think there's nothing really else. I don't even remember if it turned back around after that or if it was kept on going south. But anyway, so I hope this was beneficial for you. And like I said, let me know if you think this is worthwhile or if I should get rid of it. I just got a new microphone, so hopefully my voice sounds a little bit better. We'll see. But have a great day, and we'll talk at you later.